Hello guys, so today I've got a video. We're going to be speaking about something very funny that happened. But anyway, before we start that, I haven't spoken about this badge at the bottom right. It only pops up every now and then, and you guys may know it. It's the Activate Windows badge. This is a badge of pride for me almost. It means that I haven't paid Microsoft for their broken product, which is Windows. It's an awful product, and that's why I use Linux. But we can get into that in a later video. I main Linux mostly, but for games like Valorant, I cannot play that under Linux because of absolute nonsense. So I've got a dual boot. One day, if I ever have two graphics cards, I'll run it in a virtual machine. So I aim to tackle these deeper reasons behind all these little things a bit later in another video, and also I aim to tackle Linux a little bit later in another video. But on to this video. Hello, this is Jojum. I'm recording in a very reverby room that I found. I'm trying to hide away from the extremely loud lawnmower outside right now. And I wanted to talk to you guys about a camp I went on. This was extremely funny because I've never been around this many American middle schoolers at the same time. And I think some of my viewers from all over would like to hear about the experience I had. So I was sort of a leader on a youth camp for middle schoolers, and we basically took a bus of middle schoolers to the mountains, and it was like the drive was over 3 hours. It was a long drive in a bus full of middle schoolers, and this was probably the funniest part. But even when we got there, we had to walk basically a mile to get anywhere, and then I think it was maybe 2 or 3 miles to get to some of the places we went as well. I think in one day we walked 12 miles, and that's not a lot, but the difference is we were walking with middle schoolers, so we've got and the humor and all that kind of stuff is just a different thing. Anyway, I got to learn a lot about what kind of music middle schoolers listen to, because this is a very funny thing. They weren't allowed to bring their phones, so for the entire bus ride, they were singing songs. So we split the bus into boys in the back, girls in the front, and then leaders in the middle. And so I was on the way there. We had leaders in the middle, and on the way back, we loosened up a little bit, and we had people all over. But still, boys in the back and girls in the front. And then basically the girls would all together, or at least 50% of them, were singing on the same time random songs. So we're speaking Britney Spears, we're speaking Taylor Swift, we're speaking like the classic. If you think about what does an American girl listen to? Now, I'm not trying to be stereotypical here, but this was honestly what I thought. So coming from South Africa, there were lots of these songs that I didn't even know, that I like. These things are so famous that every single person on the bus knew that song. I had no clue what it was. So these are like stereotypical American songs, popular songs. And I think that part of the reason I don't understand this is because I just don't understand the musical taste, like popular musical taste. It makes no sense to me. I don't think that the music is good or whatever. And the people who sing it don't even write the music. That's kind of my take on popular music. If half of the popular music is written by the same person and it isn't even that good, well, then I don't understand why it's popular. But anyway, I digress. So we had the girls all singing Taylor Swift, Disney songs, which weren't all bad, but most of them were bad. Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, I don't even know all the people's names. So really popular artists. They had Party in the USA. I can't even remember all the songs off the top of my head. So we sang a lot of songs for those 3 hours. I wasn't part of this nonsense. Then we had the boys in the back, and we couldn't all together
choose songs that we all wanted to sing. So we had about 4 of us singing Juice WRLD songs. Obviously, like, just because it's a youth camp, there were some words that we just skipped, basically. And I think the rest of them were just chilling. And we had Max, who's really young. I think he was only able to get there because one of his family members is a leader, and therefore he wanted to be with his family members, or he's really short for his age. Either way, it doesn't matter. The funny bit was he was singing with the girls. I think we had a few guys, ironically, singing with the girls to make a joke of them because they were like singing with a different voice and stuff. But it was super funny. If I remember some more of the songs, there was like Into the Unknown, Let It Go, like the classic Disney songs that these kids grew up with. Nothing decent like our proper Aladdin, all that kind of stuff from my time. And there's not even like this big of a difference. It's like maybe 3 or 4 years of difference between me and these middle schoolers. But it feels like we grew up in completely different climates, music-wise, because Disney was actually still innovating when I was born. They stopped doing that. Anyway, so then we get to the mountains, and we have to bunk up with... So obviously we split again. Boys, girls, completely different places. Or not completely, but like the idea was to have completely different houses for both of us, which would have been really simple, really nice, for obvious reasons that I will not get into. But anyway, we had boys on the bottom floor, girls on the top floor, and the only way to get from the bottom floor to the top floor was to go out of the house and then climb the stairs and go through the front door. And there was leaders all over in the girls' floor, so there wasn't any issues. It was very nice. We had like a live band with a super cool recording setup, all that kind of stuff set up there so that we can worship there. That was really nice. I loved that. And the pastor there, he's just a legend. He's just really, really good. I like him as well. So, and then we had breakfast. Obviously, we walk a mile to breakfast. And breakfast was, It wasn't amazing, but for camp food, it is one of the best breakfasts I've ever had. In South Africa, we just basically get what is the budget, like what can I get for the cheapest for breakfast, because you're having to feed several people. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we had easily 50 kids. And that doesn't sound like a lot for Americans, but for me as a South African, that's a lot. Anyway, so we had an okay breakfast, which is better than what I thought it would be. Again, okay lunch, but I loved being in the nature. Like, it's been a while since I've been able to see stars that clearly. We walked at night. We did this massive thing where it's like I'm not going to give away the name because I think they're the only people who have this at that name. But it's like volleyball with this massive ball, and it's like heavy. So more than one person has to push it at the same time, unless you're one of the leaders. Because we had some jacked leaders there, like they were really strong. But even them, they were struggling to do push the ball over the net by themselves. And this net is massive. Like you can barely touch the top of it after jumping. And maybe I'm just short, but it was quite tall. And then after that, we did like a bubble soccer, which was very interesting. Again, these things are things that I would have never, ever thought of. Like, I couldn't ever wrap my head around this, like, in South Africa. No one would do this in South Africa. People would play normal volleyball and, normal soccer. And we'd have, in South Africa, there's a camp called One Conference. And one of the big things that you have to do is, obviously, in this camp, we got into teams and we had to play against each other, and the best team won at the end. But there are a few camps like that in South Africa. One Conference and Looking Up Camp do that quite well as well. but we do normal things like playing normal volleyball, playing normal foursquare, playing normal pool, all of that kind of stuff. Here they've got they've changed everything. But yeah, no, in South Africa we would have like an actual fitness competition to add in rack points. We had like small things, like minute to win it kind of competitions as well. And then also like how vibey your team was part of how many points you got. Then what else? Then we did the bubble soccer, which is like you get into this massive plastic ball with filled air, and you have to ram into other people while being able to see the ball and kicking it into the goal. So it's very difficult, meaning there were very, very few goals that we got. Probably, if you got a goal in a game, your team probably won. That's just it. And then there was, if you know what foursquare is, where you like hit it onto the other side, which many South Africans don't, by the way. We call it hanky tennis, and we use a tennis ball, and you hit it with your hand. Here they use a soccer ball, and there are places in South Africa where you use a soccer ball as well. Anyway, it's ever so slightly different. But here, there was like a 9 square, but in the sky. So you take, like, you know where the lines are? You put those lines above your head, just high enough so that your hand can go... Oh, I hit something. So that your hand can go above the net and hit the ball down, like you can spike like in volleyball. So you just have those lines there, and if it falls in your square, then you have to hit it out of your square into somebody else's square. If you hit it out of the square and it doesn't land in somebody else's square, you're out. If it goes in your square and you can't get it out of your square, you're out. I don't know if there's any other rules. Obviously, I'll try and draw it on the screen. The way the rotation works, it was very interesting. I loved it. Anyway, what else did we do? We did a lot of fitness stuff because the leader of the youth camp was jacked, so he understands this kind of thing. So we did a lot of running. We did a lot of like, you know, when you run in place and you go over things and stuff. A lot of that kind of stuff. We did tug of war, normal. Like one of the only things we did that was normal. The fitness and the tug of war was normal. But yeah, no, we did a lot of stuff. It was tons of fun. I really loved it. I met a lot of middle schoolers. It was really good for me to understand really how middle school affects people, all that kind of stuff in this country compared to in South Africa, because I just honestly don't know these kinds of things. It was very funny. We were having arguments on the bus about like sports people, like, and there were a few names that I understood: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Kobe, and I think and Tom Brady. After that, I had no clue what they're speaking about. So basically, they were speaking about which person was the best in each sport. So one of the guys said Michael Jordan was the best, but the rest said it was like, or some other person said, no, it's this person that I've never heard of. So there was like a lot of stuff going on. We also did, it's like trivia where you have to press the button. The first person to press the button can answer. And I did semi-okay. I think I got an answer that anyone in America should be able to answer. It was quite funny though. And then there was like a lot of questions I had no clue what it was. Like my trivia knowledge is really bottom of the barrel stuff. But it was still fun. It was tons of fun. We did like a Matchbox racing sort of. We had Hot Wheels and stuff and Matchbox stuff in South Africa, but I never realized that people had like, well, maybe I wasn't part of that, but like they raced them. I had like a small racetrack that you could put 2 on the top and then they just go down. But with this, they had like spring-loaded ones where it went up and it shot out and you had to try and get it in a box. It like shot out into the sky and you have to get in a box and then you get points for where in the box you got it or which box you got it in, which was insane. This was all tons of fun. I really loved it. You Americans know how to throw a camp, honestly. And the other thing I realized was in South Africa, you get tents and you maybe sleep on a parking lot or you sleep on the grass or like that. That's how we do camps. For sometimes you grab a sleeping bag and you go into like a church building. We've got a massive church auditorium and you just lie on the floor. That works as well. This time we got bunk beds. Like, this is not a camp. This is like a getaway, which is sort of what they called it. They didn't really call it a camp, but the idea was supposed to be a camp. But it was so cool. It was like, it was the rich kind of camp. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's really, really fun. Yeah, no, we had a ton of people. We did a ton of interesting things. We had like running competitions basically between us. We had a weeb. I'm a weeb, certified weeb. We had a weeb there as well, which was very interesting. They came with the Dragon Ball Z manga book, which was really fun. Like, I didn't read any, but like it was funny that they brought a book and they were drawing manga and then showing the people the manga that they drew. It was funny. And there was like a lot of stuff that went on. If I remember anything, I'll add on to this. But yeah, no, stay safe, guys. And if you can go to a youth camp, honestly, it is worth your time and it is worth your money. I love it. I wish I could go to every youth camp I can come across, but I don't have all the time and all the money in the world. But if you can get your parents to send you to a youth camp, honestly, amazing experiences. See you guys. Enjoy.